Welcome to Where's My Mind, where we talk fascinating films and try to stay as far away from formaldehyde as possible. I'm an ambiguous needle, Parker.
I'm looking to find the best deals on coupons at Michael's Craft Store. Ryan?
That's actually perfect.
Jerk.
And today we're talking about another fun, wholesome family film that everyone can enjoy.
It's a Thanksgiving favorite. It's,
Yes.
it's good for it's a Valentine's Day note to yourself and to others.
Also known as How to Evacuate a Room Within About an Hour. If you stay, you're a weirdo. We're talking about Joe D'Amato's BUIO Omega, or as it's known in English, Beyond the Darkness.
It's available on Blu-ray from Severin.
It's on our Lord and Savior Tubi, so if you ever want to watch it, it's there.
The soundtrack to this film is one of the most sellable things because
So
it's
good.
it's the Goblins or Goblin, because that's how it's credited as the Goblins, and I
That's so
appreciate that.
weird. That is so strange. That's because this is like after they've done like Deep Red and Suspiria. They're like, ah, nah. They credit them as the goblins.
I think it might have been a rights issue because this is Goblin without Claudio Simonetti.
Is
So
it?
they did,
Okay.
yeah. So they did a few albums when he was not part of the group at the time. And so I think that's probably why they adjusted the name a little bit.
He
But
was with them for Tenebrae, right?
yes, I think he came back as well as one other musician for that.
Because it's not, you look it up on Spotify and it's not under, it's like under their three names, not like under
Yes.
Goblin.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, okay, well.
I mean, nothing beats Tenebrae soundtrack. I'll say that much. This is really good. This disco groove component that's here, that they did for this film is incredible. But there's not a lot of it's not as full range. Tenebrae, there's something for everyone.
It doesn't need to be full range though, I don't think, for this anyways. It's a lot of the same motive over and over again, but it kind of works. I'm not mad at it.
It's a strong. The title track is a strong disco tune
Yes,
that's kind of earworm that you want to be
it is.
7 8 minutes. It's
No, it's only like two and a half.
That's all you get.
That's all you get, and it replays over and over every once in a while, and there's a couple other motives. Yep, interesting movie.
Allegedly, this is a remake of The Third Eye, which stars Franco Nero, and
Huh?
I don't really find that to be very accurate or interesting. I love that movie, but I don't think this has anything to do with that film in
Allegedly is
particular.
the right word.
That's
I
as
don't see it. I just don't see it. I also, it's like, it's hard to really grade this as like an adaptation of anything, really. I mean, maybe it takes some inspiration from like Frankenstein, but there are times I'm like, this is a bit of a reach.
I mean, having the taxidermist be our main character, I like a lot because I don't think taxidermists in general get to be lead actors in very many films. We're talking a handful.
That's okay. It's okay that taxidermists and morticians don't get a ton of screen time. Because God, if you don't want to punch Frake in the face so many times during this.
He's a very strange character. I don't know. For my money, the housekeeper Iris.
Oh, it's good.
She yeah, exactly. I think that's the normal response where my response is like this is the most fascinatingly strange person.
I hate it.
Uh,
I think you sent like a still of this film with her and Frank in the Discord, and I was like, I hate this picture with the fire of a thousand burning suns. This is terrible, and I don't like it.
yeah, it's an unorthodox nurturing relationship.
There's this thing people have if they grow up in a neglected household, or like maybe it's abusive. It's called mommy issues.
Typically our podcast deals with daddy issues.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is finally a first that bridges into.
There's something going on that is never elaborated on. They never talk about, and I'm just like, great, this is awful to watch. Still love this movie. Partially because it's extremely violent when it decides to have gore in it. I think that's always wonderful.
The visceral gore in this, not just in the special effects context, but like just actual entrails and awful and everything else it's well done. I mean, it's disturbing enough that I think a standard horror viewer might find this to be just too much.
It'll
This
catch you off
is
guard if you're not prepared for it. Believe Joe D'Amato got in trouble because people thought he like had like an actual autopsy on screen, like an actual embalmment. It's not.
that
Pig guts.
tracks. I
A lot
mean,
of pig guts, but not like a actual. I'm cutting open a dead body
kind
and
of the like the
embalming it.
men behind the sun factor.
Yeah,
in some moments, but then like you said, there's actual violence that is
Mm,
pretty
yes, a lot
strong
of we're
stuff.
talking about bathtubs again.
As always, there's got to be that. I mean, at the
I
end of the day, we're this film is it's a twisted love story because Frank
and
lost his girlfriend and she stays around. The body stays with the film. Very few films have that much focus upon
this
this. Like she's in the
this
bed, like she's part of the story.
But I think it's so interesting is they never show, like, actual acts of necrophilia. He never goes that far. That's
Yeah,
what I find fascinating. I'm like, is it okay, is it strongly implied? I mean, you don't just keep a body around that long for fun to look at it.
I think Frank has like a double maternal kink, which is preservation of the mother in a way with Anna, who's unviolated yet deceased.
It's an
Then
object.
his, yeah, and as well, then
You have Iris,
Iris
who's
takes
literally
on.
literally does take care of him, but then she gets weird. She'll say things, and I'm like, "Stop. You're making this gross."
Yeah, she's the most. I would say almost a more complex character than Frank at the beginning of the film, especially. We already know right within seconds that she's a malactor. This is a bad person, not going to help things.
Yeah, and she has a very, like, hard face, very, like, authoritative. Her
Yeah,
eyebrows are, like, very thin pencil lines, though, so
yeah, she has like that headmistress sort of.
I think her actress was it Franca She was in several Bruno Mattei films.
Bless her. I hope she
God
was paid
bless.
well.
I know, right?
Not to like deride Bruno Mattei, but
Yeah, she was in Women's Prison Massacre as, like, one of the guards in that, which is
that's
basically I mean,
fitting.
that's an Emmanuel film with Laura Gemser. Who knows what horrors entail. Yes, I did watch Emmanuel in America for this. You're welcome. I'm never gonna forgive any of you for not giving me the heads up that there was horse stuff in that.
I mean, that's just the right thing to do. You just can't do spoilers for everything. It's
But
Labeth.
it's not late in the movie. It's like in like the first hour.
Yeah, and it's not Borovchek classy, honestly, in my opinion at least, where
Uh-uh.
there has
Uh-uh. Borovchek will at least will show you a picture of bestiality and the characters will kind of laugh at it and then move on. This it's like, no, you're gonna get to see quite a bit of it, and it's gonna be gross and distressing. You just have to move on.
I
I feel a
mean,
little bad for him.
yeah, as we were discussing, I feel like Joe D'Amato is often used as a pejorative, as almost a slur to
Mhm.
the bulk of his directing.
Yeah.
And he did direct a lot of not great films, undoubtedly. But I think that same lens can be pointed at someone like Jess Franco, who experienced a lot of that same derision over time. And a few coffee table books later, and a new set of eyes has given him his work a whole new fan base and an appreciation. So I do hope that Joe's work over
I know.
time
I mean,
will age in a certain way that's a little bit more respectful than to really kind of just put down the gist of his film, because
I
Beyond the
wonder.
Darkness is it's a standout title of
It
his films. It's
is.
really
It's so
really good.
interesting because, well, it's also like Anthropophagus and Absurd and a bunch of the Black Emmanuel series. They've all been like restored by Severin in some capacity.
With a lot of care, and I think, I mean,
Yeah.
that's always a nod really to Severin's courage, and that's at least just how I sort of look at it, is whatever name preceding the director and artist, Anthropophagus is popular with folks. D'Amato
Why?
called it his worst horror film,
Yeah.
and
Why is it popular?
I
This is a boring movie where not much happens.
there's Intestines and there's George Eastman, so I mean,
There's a dead rabbit that cosplays as something else that gets eaten, and that's a fun scene to watch.
yeah, so like if you're gonna watch
There's
D'Amato,
some moments in it I think that are like I think are fantastic and great, but like as a whole, I'm kind of like this is not that great. And like Absurd is fantastic.
it's so good. That's
You
my
can't
favorite
convince me
Christmas
otherwise.
movie. Like White Christmas, Black Christmas, you watch Absurd. It has American football going on.
It does.
It has George Eastman. It's a spectacular film.
It's a Halloween ripoff.
That
Great,
too.
fantastic. I love
Yeah.
it. It's good. It's fun.
I think if you didn't know about Absurd and you hadn't seen it and Beyond the Darkness, you could tell somebody probably with a straight face that these were Lucio Fulci films and they're really important to see. And I sort of like, I think I could litigate that case. I
You
think
can
there is.
try.
I could at least try. Yeah. Like, Is it porno holocaust? It is
No,
not. And that's
thank God.
okay. Thank
I'm
God.
keep it's not Caligula the Untold Story. That movie was a chore to get through.
See? I
I
mean,
cannot believe I spent 2 hours watching that. Ugh, yeah. I mean, speaking of Fulci, Cynthia Monreal, who plays Anna in this, her most well-known role is as Emily in Fulci's The Beyond.
so the pedigree is there, the
If you
connections
didn't
are
make that
there.
connection.
If you love Lucio Fulci, you should have seen this. And if you've not seen Beyond the Darkness, you're in for a really grimy, wonderful, lingering, well shot treat. This villa that it takes place in is absolutely disgusting, but the cinematography is exceptionally
It's
good.
like Burial Ground.
It's very much a burial. Yeah, that's a perfect pair.
It looks terrible and gross, but it's kind of charming and pretty.
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't have the polish of a set. It's just dingy and legitimate. It's like when they're not filming when there's not a filming going on, bad things probably happen in this villa. I don't think good things
I don't
happen.
think they rent it out to people. I hope they don't.
This is the worst Airbnb, the Bressanone Villa. It's like,
There's probably like a lot of mice that live there that just spend time there.
yeah, when you add the just the visceral gore of this movie into that, it makes it that much worse.
Like you mix it with like just the gore in this, which is like again pretty shocking if you're not like given a heads up for it like at all. And then there's all the weird romance novel stuff that you're like, make it stop, please.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't no. So I'm surprised this isn't like any more divisive.
yeah, there's this like really odd. It's really not gothic particularly, but
No.
it has this strange romance component to the film because it is this inability to process death, which is ironic from a taxidermist
So
of his
ironic.
girlfriend, Anna. So her death is just, I mean, it sets him on this really bizarre collision course. And then he commits terrible acts, and it still doesn't bring Anna back.
And it's like, but why are you doing this? Why are you killing
Exactly.
these random women? Why?
And there's no sci-fi like, we're going to swap the hearts for
Mm-mm,
or some way put a new person into Anna and reanimate her. So it doesn't even do
mm-mm.
that, which makes it all the more strange and peculiar.
He likes biting people.
I don't understand. It's not like it doesn't take a vampire, right turn,
No, it just does.
but it's just a thing.
Gross. There's always like these quirks in these like Italian films that it's like, okay, I don't know how to process this, but okay, that's fine.
The visual effects on the bites and everything are really top notch.
They look good, yeah,
Pretty
no,
darn
considering.
good, yeah.
It's just this is just gross and weird and
You almost feel bad for Frank because he's so beaten down by the loss, but then he just gets terrible and he gets really just out of hand.
can we talk about how Kieran Cantor barely acts?
It's like 15% Udo Kier.
But it's the eyes. I told
The
you this. I
eyes,
was like, it's the
piercing
eyes. I
eyes.
don't want to see him in this. Literally just that.
I mean, bless him. He gives everybody else, at least Franca, she gets to sort of be the star of the film because his acting
It's there.
it's necessary.
We have to have a male main character.
But strangely, I mean, I think the film really focuses on Iris and her
Yeah, like a
role
weird amount.
is excessive in a good way, I suppose. It's a really small cast. That's one
It's
thing about
nice.
this.
That's very nice.
It's really convenient and comfortable, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. Just give me 5 to 7 characters to work with here. Everything will work out well.
This doesn't have to be because there's a couple of other characters besides those three. I mean, there's of course all the women Frank ends up running into. He eventually kills them somehow, some way, dissolves them in an acid bath with Iris watching. There's like a police inspector, like a police thing going on where they're like, this girl went missing. Where is she? And like they try to cover it,
They
and
they
then
feel naturally bumbling, which is sort of
that's
kind of
just
what
how it goes.
it's
That's
how
just
it
kind of how
is.
it
Yeah.
goes.
At one point I thought they were in on it and that somehow they were just like we're looking the other way as to what Frank is up to, but
I just
not
think they're dumb.
that's mostly where
I just think
where
it
I went
is.
with. Yeah.
I don't think they're very smart. Then there's Iris's family, who's also okay, weird. I mean, okay, Iris has to be like 40 something, 30. She's an older woman,
Easily.
easily. Frank's like 20. young dude can drink. The possessiveness eventually gets to the point where they're like, okay, we're gonna get married, even though Frank is still like very devoted to Anna. They have like a family dinner, I guess, to like consummate this or whatever, and her whole family is just like, ah, yes, love is traditional. I'm so glad Iris is finally marrying someone, and it's this young man. And it's like, do you not see the red flags that
Yeah,
are like in your face? Do you not see this?
she is obsessed with Frank to a really unnatural point that she's actually accepting of his like continued ongoing love of the dead girlfriend, the body.
It's
She
weird.
will
She's
she will
complicit.
then
She doesn't like it, but she's complicit. He doesn't stop her from like her advances until very late.
I mean, she has really strong loyalty. I'll say that much. I mean, it's like helping him basically, body disposal, the whole works is not great.
Yeah, well,
It's
I don't mind that. I don't mind the body disposal. I do mind when you just vaguely consensual hand job.
I figured it would have been the breastfeeding of the
That too.
infantilist Frank
That
is
too. It's weird.
yeah.
It comes out if you're not, yeah, if you're not prepared for it, it just comes out of nowhere and you're like, why is this? I think if you're not like, I think just on first watch, you have the very rational reaction of, why is this here?
And for Joe D'Amato's catalog, that could have been so much worse. I mean,
This
it
is
could have
true.
really went.
This is true.
He was actually being very restrained in.
I hate that this is one of his more restrained movies.
Yeah,
I like genuinely, like, I mean, yeah, Absurd and Anthropophagus are also pretty reserved, but it's like most of what he did was porn.
I sometimes unknowingly we plan to watch Borovchik's Behind Convent Walls,
Okay,
and
you
one
can
of
tell me the
us,
story.
one of us, just glanced at the convent part, and yeah, out of nunsploitation, yeah. So we started watching Images in a Convent, which is a Joe D'Amato film, and that is a much different film than Behind Convent Walls.
I mean, it tries. I mean, it's a similar concept of power and religion and a bunch of sexually repressed nuns.
A lot heavier pace and everything else to go with that.
To his credit though, he did take some it was a ripoff of the Borovchik, so I don't feel as bad.
His own kind of rendition and so forth.
I
Uh,
didn't feel too
but
bad
yeah,
watching it. It's weird. There's some moments.
when you approach Behind Convent Walls after Images in a Convent, you feel like Borovchik is like pulling punches. He's holding back on you
He
almost. So,
is. It's very strange. He is.
I mean, and rarely do we describe a director's film as being lacking controversy or graphic nature. But yeah, Images in a Convent, probably not the Thanksgiving film that you should.
That I still kind of remember the finale of that, and it just doesn't. I mean, it's not. How do I say it? I wouldn't call it graphic, but I would.
Yeah, it has a certain fun ride that like Caligula does also, but it's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
a bit much.
Also, yeah, D'Amato's Caligula. Forget it.
It was not for you.
It's too much going on.
Now there is a documentary on Joe D'Amato, totally uncut. It's kind of
There's two of them. One of them is about
yeah,
his erotic movies. One of them is about his horror films.
they're both really good. Like if you don't watch
Yeah,
any of his, adult films or whatever else, the documentary is actually quite interesting. The first documentary on his more traditional films, however, is really nice. I thought it was really well made and people cared to kind of get the record right about his
yeah,
successes and really like sure his missteps, his cash in sort of blunders that I'm sure he looked at it and was like, I can either not make a film or I can make this film and here's the backing and
yeah.
let's shoot the goddamn thing. So
Yeah, no. I know the horror one has a lot of bits from like George Eastman as well from the
yeah.
writing. He didn't write this. He didn't write Beyond the Darkness, but he wrote, of course, several other films. I thought the horror one was quite good.
And George Eastman, I mean, he's a straight shooter,
He's
in all
cool.
honesty. I mean,
He's
today
cool.
he calls Lamberto Bava basically an asshole, and he's not wrong. And that's courageous to just call it out and just say, like, no, he's just, oftentimes he's not the nicest person, but had nice things to say about Joe D'Amato. And so it's, again, like, generally good guy. Actors liked
Generally
him and got
okay
in.
dude. Bless
Yeah,
his heart.
whatever. Like, it doesn't
It's not
matter.
Kubrick. It's not
Joe never
Jodorowsky.
never put anybody through the ringer enough that they're emotionally damaged after the film.
If someone gave a crappy performance, he let it happen.
I mean, he was happy to have them acting. He doesn't want them to quit.
Yeah.
You know what I
for
mean?
a variety of reasons.
Yeah. You don't want Kieran walking off the set. Like, you just let him do
You
Frank
don't
how
want
he
him to go
needs
do
to.
that gay porn.
He's going to do it for the money. I mean, he's going to
Dude,
get that money.
okay.
He's going to get that money.
Okay,
So,
I was like, I wonder what else he's in because maybe I'm just like having some serious like maybe he just does look like this one guy. And I looked it up, and he's in this movie porno called The Devil and Mr. Holmes.
tells you.
Do I want to know? The letterbox art looks skeevy.
I mean, his acting might have more range.
He
So, I
plays the
mean, that's
devil in that. Well, he plays the devil in that apparently. Okay,
that's depth research that is non necessary.
okay. Then make this. This is just. I don't know if I wanted to know any of this today.
I mean, I want a lot more from Franca Stoppi, the housekeeper, but her filmography is small. I mean, it's really limited. So
It's
it's kind of sad.
Bruno Mattei. That's all it is.
Yeah,
The other like king of like Italian rip-off hack job.
I'm good on that.
Hey, like I'm
Yeah, I would watch him. I don't mind.
I saw SS Girls and I was like, all right, I'm good.
Well, yeah, I pushed you to watch that because
You
the main
did.
character is so peculiar and
I wasn't
unique.
even mad at him. I was just mad that they used so much classical music in it. So
Yeah,
much.
there's really a man.
God, if
Hannah's
that thing doesn't take itself seriously.
yeah, it's a bit dark and it doesn't end well, and it's not a happy film so much.
I don't remember how it ended.
Yeah,
I don't want to know how it ended. I just know it ended up sparking a very funny Discord gif that some of my friends occasionally send me. I tell them something dumb. Well, one, I mean, I think I said this earlier, but like Frank kind of snaps with Iris at a certain point. It's just like, please stop. And they get it. They start fighting.
she punches him in the balls, but the injury looks like a knife wound. It's a
I was gonna say that. I was like, I thought she stabbed him.
I watched it 3 times, slowed down in order to
So
to
you're
determine.
obsessed.
I mean, I like Iris, so I'm a fan.
But yeah, they get into it.
Yeah,
I should mention, at this point in the film, Anna's sister, Eleanor, has walked in, been like, I just want to see Frank, because I'm sure she knows her sister's dead.
mhm.
Does not know that her sister is legally speaking upstairs. But yeah, like they're like trying to keep quiet and like it's weird. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that's like important is she's like there.
There's a recurring theme of people in doorways staring in at bad.
Yeah, they're like it's a little voyeuristic. I mean, calling a camera voyeuristic sounds dumb.
But we see people's faces doing that, and for sometimes extended periods of time.
Just constant drifting over things. But yeah, Frank and Iris get into it and what's again shockingly quite violent. But yeah, he eventually kills Iris, and that's nice and fun. And then he realizes Eleanor is like next is like in the room, like just knocked out. 'Cause I think Iris knocked her out, and so he's like, "What to do?"
The furnace scene is what
The
really threw me
furnace. Oh god! Anytime
because
that furnace get because of course when you work at home as an embalmer, naturally you have a furnace.
occupationally plausible, I guess.
Yeah, that's what my house has is a furnace that can fit an entire person in there.
Odd for taxidermy, like I don't know if that seems really necessary, is it? Like
I know. I'm like okay, maybe if you like worked at like a funeral home where it's like people are not only getting buried but also cremated. I get it. A furnace in your house
yeah, I mean if
when your
you're
main gig is preserving dead animals.
even the size of game that he would be interacting with seems like
There's this one dude throughout the film that like wants this baboon Frank has worked on.
that's relatable. I just want to. I mean, I'll take a rhesus monkey, but that's really, there are better monkeys to have in general. And
It's the crown jewel.
I just want to call him Lord Byron, and may I have like a monogram, nice little smoking jacket for him, and we'll smoke cigars together and drink single malt scotch.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like a thing. And so you just so this same dude, I think the same dude who's like the collector or whatever, he comes by at the end of the film. This film wraps up really quickly. Like many Italian films do. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, last 12 minutes are hell of a ride.
Boom, boom, things happening. No, he comes in and sees there is a burnt body in the furnace. Then he sees there's another body laying out on the table.
It's not good.
And as it and so we as the audience think, "Oh, he burned Eleanor's body." You know, because that's what he's been doing this entire movie. He's just getting rid of evidence, getting rid of anything, everybody.
Because he's picking up strays
Yes,
regularly and then sleeping with
enough.
them
Like at
while,
least three.
yeah, and
And that
staring
Anna's
at Anna.
yeah,
She's in the next bed,
and then Anna yeah, and oh,
right?
and then it's so weird. And then yeah, Anna's on this table. He picks up Anna's body, what you think is Anna's body, anyhow. He takes it to a church, and they're trying to put her back to her resting place because why wouldn't you? And then, oh, it's Eleanor because Frank decided to burn Anna's body, and Eleanor was just knocked out. She wasn't like dead or
He
anything.
finally set her free, and it's a pretty solid jump, a deliverable jump
It's like the
scare.
final shot. It's
I
like
enjoy it. I was like, yeah, it's a rock moment,
when I first watched it, it took me by surprise.
and the music hits right after. I mean, it is
Bang.
just it's a perfect punchline.
Yeah.
So
The end. Yeah, it's a very fast movie. I guess that's like, I don't know, maybe after I like to think maybe after he killed Iris. I like to think after Frank killed Iris that something hit him about just having Anna's body around was maybe not good. So one maternal figure, and I'm using that term loosely, one maternal figure had to die. And then he realized, well, what's the point?
I think he looked at it as the he gave up the one he loved effectively in full,
Hmm.
and he's also completely like relieved himself of the burden of Iris, knowing that that was never a
Was never a
going to
happy, fun
work.
relationship.
That's right.
Their whole fight, I was like, because they're fucking each other up, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is what a toxic relationship is if I've seen one. If I've ever seen one.
The film works as like a beautiful resolution where we know we're tying up loose ends, but his Frank's demise or his death from injuries, etc., it works well because
I'm
it's
okay with that.
yeah.
I'm okay with not like, not some like, I mean, it is conclusive, but I'm like happy with it. It's not like, oh, he got shot in the forehead or something dumb.
The detective arrives to basically just say, well, somebody's got to clean up the mess of all these assholes. This is what
Hmm.
they were up to. And now we have this, abattoir of hellscape in his death dungeon.
That house is never gonna sell.
It's going to have problems.
It's gonna have problems on the real estate market,
You're going to have fun promoting this. This is going to be like
unfortunately.
you can kind of gore up whatever. Not terrible, of course,
No, no, no.
but
Like
like this will be a fun one to.
it should be.
Parker, what do you have for recommendations this
Yes.
episode?
Not Mondo Ballarado. Not the boring ass Mondo movie I made myself watch.
I was about to say, what are you watching? And I don't want to know about the bullshit.
Not the Boris Karloff narrated Mondo movie.
I'm just not into the Mondo
I
anything really much. I like the music, and that's about
oh
where it
yeah.
ends. That's about it.
I like the vibe, but I also like weird crap. Some part of it's very
Degradation.
charming, but none of them are very good. This won't be one of my recommendations, but one of the things I did watch was like a BBC documentary called The Dark Side of Porn, and it was their episode about snuff. I watched it. It's from like 2006, I think, 2005. Yeah. I was like, this is not aged. This needs to be updated so badly because they don't mention live leaks or anything like that.
Sure.
They don't mention any of like the
Probably for
core
the
sites.
better, because really it's just going to, if you discover a thing, you're going to explore a thing.
The
So
BBC, the Channel 4 cannot put that out there.
we have friends that recommend Snuff It, snuff films with puppets.
I
It's
know
a
exactly
title.
who you're talking about.
His name's Jim.
I love you, Jim.
But you never thought puppet torture and debauchery could be possible. Yes, it can. This
Some of us
is
like the Muppets. You
yeah.
can't do that to us.
It's just so wrong on so many levels. But
Some of us like the Muppets. You can't do that.
I sought it out the next day and was
Oh yeah, of course you
again.
did. This is horrible. What are my recommendations? Okay. One of my first one is Battle Royale from 2000. I watched the dubbed version of this, which I'm not super happy about. I think it works well, but like I would probably have rather have seen the subbed version. I don't know. It's basically the youth in Japan are so fucking violent and the future that there's literally a law where it's like every like what is it like every I think it's every like ninth grade class or like the equivalent of our ninth grade class. It's like a lottery of like who gets picked to just basically play the Hunger Games and kill each other on a deserted island. Why was it good? Why did I like it so much?
That's a hard one to answer, but
I
I'll agree
know.
it is very good.
It's
It is
good.
a excellent film.
It made me just I mean, it just makes you think a lot about like this. I mean, I know it's Japan. It makes you think a lot about, teenagers and how they're being raised and what they're being exposed to, but also how much the government does not give a flying fuck about our education. That's not the point of this. Because it's almost like there's like a point where it almost becomes sadistic in the way that like they're operating this. There's no real care for any of the consequences that happen.
Yeah, it's a gauntlet of sorts,
It
and
is.
it
It
in the
is.
most dark ways.
Yes, but I kind of love it. So that's my first pick. My next pick is actually something that came out this year. I think any like a few films I have seen from this year I just haven't liked. This is not one of them. It's the Lady Gaga concert movie, Gaga Chromatica Ball. It's on Max if you want to watch it. It's a Max exclusive, I think. Oh man, I was kind of blown away. I mean, I always give concert films really high ratings anyhow.
So it's better than Madonna 1988 Ciao Italia?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, there's better Madonna concert films anyways. Not that like Ciao Italia is bad, but like there's better.
It has low production value, but the
Yeah, this
timing,
has like
the
a
timing
very
is good.
yeah, this has a very high production value, but it's like a great demonstration of Lady Gaga and who she is as an artist. There's a lot of like you can just tell there's a lot of craftsmanship that was involved in this. And I don't know. It was very heartwarming to watch. I think
Nice.
yeah, right or after I'd watched the Caligula movie, I was like, okay, I'm watching this.
I understand on concert films. I own a lot of Shakira concert films and so on. Big fan.
Why that specifically?
She's great.
Okay.
I think she's a fascinating. I mean, as a person, I don't know. She could be terrible.
Yeah.
As a musician and performer, I think.
Tax fraud. Tax fraud.
I
It's
mean,
the tax fraud.
happens to the best of.
And then finally, from 1987, Stage Fright, the Soavi film that we had a very interesting discussion of. No, this is not a giallo. Why do you think it's a later a giallo?
There's very
Why do you
few
think
good.
that
There's few good films in the late '80s in that time period that I could almost shoehorn in.
this is
But
not a giallo?
no, it's
I can't believe
slasher.
I'm the one having to tell you that. It's like Suspiria. I equate it to Suspiria, and that it takes like some inspiration from it, but
Yeah.
like oh, as a whole, it takes from a completely. Oh, this fell off. Okay, I'll hold this. It takes from like a completely different genre altogether. This being the American slasher.
And Sawavi, working under Fulci by this point in his career, knew
Hmm.
exactly what he was going to do different. And I think that's where Stage Fright does. It's a standout film of his films. There's others that are fine.
Yeah, George Eastman wrote it. He plays. He's like, I know for all the mask scenes, that's him. But it's just perfect, like campy stuff I expected. I don't know. I've seen Cemetery Man. I've seen The Church, and I've liked all of them. This has been my favorite though.
I'm in agreement. It works better than most of his other films. The documentary on his life is really interesting. There's been that and one on Dario in the past year.
Oh yeah, the Dario Argento Panico was good.
Yeah, that was it puts a lot of things to bed, rumors and so on as well. But Soavi's had a fascinating life and
Argento needs to talk about why he likes his daughter so much.
no.
It's just been a weird episode.
I would never quite go so far as to say there's like meat on the bone for Dario and Asia, but I'm confused by it. I don't fully I have
All of us
questions.
have questions.
Yeah.
What are your picks this episode?
So my first choice is kind of like the film 8 Mile with Eminem, but in Ireland. It's called Kneecap. And
Great.
Kneecap is about three rappers in Ireland that are pretty much underdogs, and nobody has heard of Irish rap in this style before. And I had no clue initially that the people portraying them were it's the actual band, human beings
Interesting.
that do all this. So this movie was so bizarre to me initially because I thought the premise was really different, and I wasn't sure what to do with this. But it does tell like a personal tale of the Irish government as well as cultural battles and so forth in a small way, in a small context, and then the lives of experiencing growing up as kids and teenagers in this environment, and they're really put to the test. It's an abrasive film. It is not always politically correct. There are plenty of small things anyone could nitpick on. I was shocked that like musically this is really interesting. They utilize their native language as well, in which that's infused into the lyrics. So even as a non not understanding specifically everything that they're rapping about, I was really impressed. And when I saw reviews about this and ratings, I was pretty stunned. I mean, there are people that just don't give out the four and a halves, the fives of anything. These are the
Yeah, they don't deserve.
stingiest but tasteful bastards that I know that were bending the knee and saying, like, this is a really incredible film. So, yeah, so we watched, it's on Prime at the moment, and it's really entertaining. It's pretty inspiring and powerful stuff. Yeah, it ranges from good laughs and just sort of a degree of intensity and so on to it, to really like heartwarming stuff that I didn't expect. Michael Fassbender is in it, and he's kind of the dad that's wrapped up into the IRA and so forth. So yeah, I was like, this is probably one of the best things I've seen lately. So,
And it's from this year.
and it's from this year. This is, yeah,
It's cool.
contemporary. The next pick that I have is The Life and Deaths of Christopher Lee, which is also from this year. And it's a comprehensive, wonderful, like first person story about his life and career. It's done by a voice actor that's able to pretty much to really do justice to Christopher Lee's vocal tone.
Nice.
But it's like solid 2 hours, and um, has animation and so forth as well. It's really impressive and well done. And with somebody like Christopher Lee, it's difficult because the guy's lived a really fascinating and exciting life that trying to touch on every moment and every point in time.
It's very, very career.
It is.
That it's
Yeah.
like
And he means
everyone
different
knows him
things
from,
to
yeah, I mean, everyone knows him from different projects and whatnot. And it's like, I mean, people know who he is, and it's kind of incredible.
so that's one, The Life and Deaths of Christopher Lee. Definitely check that out. The last pick was a film called Dirt. It's a German film known as Schmutz from 1986. The director, I have no idea about. His name is Paulus Manker. And this is one that took me really by surprise. It deals with a lot of specifically like this security guard that gets a job with a company and kind of over just the whole job, and it overtakes him and his sense of, I guess, ownership of where his work is and so forth. And things really go awry, and sort of he just mentally like breaks down from the change in his kind of like work environment, and then basically they're going to just and close this factory that he's taken upon himself to oversee. It's really a strange but interesting film.
It
Yeah,
looks really, really, really. It looks like something I'd like a lot.
I didn't expect it to really like emotionally floor me, and then watch him try to sort everything out. And it's a lot of elements about grief and loss, and yeah, I wasn't expecting it, and all of a sudden sometimes you hit those films that you're just push you way out of what you ever thought was possible, especially with a plot that is unorthodox and fresh. So 1986 schmutz.
Sounds like fun.
All right, so for our next episode, we're going to be covering Miko Kaji in Female Prisoner Scorpion, 701's Grudge Song from 1973.
We do have a blog spot. I just posted like a giant love letter to Reanimator on there. I'm not kidding. That Google Doc was about 5 pages. So you're welcome.
And there's images.
There's pictures. I put my own art in there as well because I felt bad if I just stole someone's art. I was like, I'm going to draw something myself. If you steal it, I will kill you in your sleep. So don't.
I'll be the
But
iris and help with body disposal.
yes. We also have a Discord. You can DM us for the link. We watch films, we talk music. We're cool. Everyone's cool in there. You can follow our Instagram at Where's My Mind Podcast. We're gonna do Grudge Song next episode. Thank you for listening.